Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
There's no turning back now.
Let's put on the show.
You are listening to episode number 97 of the Station 71 podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Beth?
I'm Brian.
So this week we've got some not so scary history to talk about. Not a lot of news, I guess. I don't know. Did you guys try to look into news this week?
I felt like there wasn't going to be anything.
I was pulling up news right before we started recording this because it's like, oh, I have to do the news for this week. And I looked at it, I was like, everything's D23 still.
Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, that too. But first up, speaking of Galaxy's Edge, looks like the TSA banned and then reversed the decision to ban the thermal detonator souvenir Coca-Cola bottles from Galaxy's Edge.
Good.
Right around the time that Passholder Preview started, someone asked TSA if they were going to be allowed to carry these on the plane. TSA said no. And it looks like they've released a statement on Friday that they said they've completed their review and instructed our officers to treat these as oversized liquids. You will have to carry them in your your carry-on, and they will more than likely be checked by the security at the gate. But this is cool because that means you can actually get something else to take home with you.
Just to clarify, if they have liquid in them, they have to be checked, but if they're empty, they can be in your carry-on, correct?
I believe so. I know there's a lot of confusing information, so best practice is find out before you go and then figure it out, but
That's weird. The TSA is normally
I
so
assume-
streamlined.
I don't know.
I assume that if you're going to have the actual liquid in there, that you'd have to check it because of that 311 rule
Yeah.
or whatever, where you can only have 3 ounces or less bottles. But yeah, I'm really glad that they reversed this decision because that was a big deal that didn't need to be at all.
This definitely felt super bizarre that they were making it a huge deal.
Yeah. I'm like, they had this whole spiel about if our officers think it looks like it could be a bomb or a replica bomb. And I'm like, if your officers think that this looks like a replica bomb, then you need to hire some new officers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was I don't know. I saw that and I was like, are you serious? Is that a thing that we're going to do now? You're going to actually think that this is a bomb?
I got one for Laz when we went to the Passholder Preview, and after all that news started coming out, I was like, hey, you should check on eBay because he hasn't drank it yet. See how much you could sell that bad boy for.
Which one did you get? Did you get the Coke or
The Sprite.
the Sprite is the one that looks the
Yeah.
coolest, I think.
Yeah, plus that's the only soda of the 3 that he really likes.
Oh, well, that
So.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
And then next up in our news story is that a new tower crane was installed right next to the Tron Light Cycle attraction at Magic Kingdom, which means we're getting further along and we're now in the next phase of construction.
Yay.
It feels like such a weak news story, but it's super exciting.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's
I
just-
feel like a lot of people are kind of sleeping on this. I haven't heard many people talk about it, but I'm getting really, really excited for Tron.
This is going to be that thing that no one's excited for until it opens.
I mean, I
When does it open again?
Before the 50th.
Before the 50th?
I think that's all we know.
Yeah. Just at some point over the next 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the timeline for every Disney project right now is, will it be here before the 50th?
Right.
This one is scheduled to be open before October 2021. But I guess
Yeah.
it's right around when the 50th would actually be.
Right.
But by the looks of this, it looks a lot further along than that.
was about to say, the track looks like it's been pretty much done. It's just the building around it.
Which I can't imagine that that's too much. I mean, in comparison to the track. Anyway, that's all the news we have this week because I guess everyone's still kind of like pulling off of D23. But before we dive into our show topic this week, I would be in a lot of trouble if I didn't announce that Kirsten is not here because she's meeting Cher this weekend. So get your Station 71 bingo points out of the way now. Hopefully she's having a good time, and I'm sure she'll tell us all about it when she comes back.
She's meeting Cher. I'm sure she's having a good time.
That's fair.
I was gonna say, just like thoughts and prayers that she doesn't like pass out. That's my only concern.
Oh, goodness. So, are you guys ready to dive into this week's history topic?
Yes.
I'm sure this feels very bizarre because this is a history topic not featuring Professor Brian. But with the, I guess, recent opening of Not So Scary, we decided it was probably a good idea to talk a little bit about the history and some of the offerings that you can find at the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Especially since last year, didn't we talk about it like the day after the last party or something?
I'm very sure that we did. So
it was like real late. We're getting in early this year.
We have to because it's already started.
Right.
Oh boy. So I have some history stuff in here, and I figure we can probably go over because you went to the first one, right, Beth?
Did.
So I figured we can kind of do the history, and then we can talk a little bit about what's going on this year and some of the stuff that they offer, and I guess compare it to last year because there's a lot of new stuff this year. It looks like, believe it or not, a Halloween party, which seems like a staple at Magic Kingdom, actually is a pretty recent thing. Back in the early days of Walt Disney World, the Imagineers really never would have thought to decorate Main Street with anything other than like the typical patriotic 4th of July decorations that they put up now, because that was the theme. Main Street was always supposed to be a 4th of July celebration with the fireworks, the parade. But that doesn't mean that they didn't try other things in other places. In 1975, Disney would open the Lake Buena Vista Shopping Village, which we would know as Downtown Disney or Disney Springs. And when it first opened, Disney was pretty desperate to get some traffic in there. So they tried to do a couple different things to draw some of their locals in and get them into that shopping space to spend their money. One of the things that they tried that was actually almost an immediate hit was the Village Halloween Party, where parents were encouraged to bring their kids in costumes, and they were encouraged to decorate or trick or treat through the stores in the shopping center, which all should sound very familiar. Around that same time, some of the resorts were also experimenting with the idea of throwing Halloween parties independently to draw guests in. One example would be that there was a party thrown at the Contemporary in October in 1976 at the Ballroom of America that I can't find information if this was just exclusive to the people staying there or if it was like a hard ticket event kind of thing. But from everything that I've researched, it kind of seems like this was one of those things where they'd say, oh, if you stay at the Contemporary, you can come to this Halloween party that we're throwing kind of thing.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know about that, but I think it'd be really interesting to go to like different themed Halloween parties at the different resorts.
That's kind of something I'm surprised they didn't stick with.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it wouldn't be that difficult to implement that.
Honestly, just like having them be exclusive to the guests that are staying there, I feel like would be a draw.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like people would say, oh, well, this resort has a Halloween party and this one doesn't, so I'm going to stay there.
Yeah, and that's, I guess it's kind of like staying at the campgrounds during Halloween where they have like the extra special event stuff, but like you can go to that without staying there. From what I read, it kind of seems like this was in one place. If you were staying, you could get in kind of thing, which that would just be super awesome if they continued. I can only imagine some of the things that they would do for different resorts. Like you could definitely theme that around where you're staying based on like the theme of the hotel.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until October 27th, 1979 that Magic Kingdom would hold its first hard ticket after hours event for Halloween for one night only called Halloween Hysteria, which sounds like so off-brand for Disney.
Sounds like an illness.
Oh, just wait, because it gets even more weird. The park would close at its normal 9 o'clock time, and the party would run till 1:30 a.m. Halloween Hysteria would feature popular music entertainment such as The Police, Dr. Hook, and Michael Johnson. Advance tickets were only priced at a steep $8.95 per person, and gate prices were $9.
Breaking the bank.
And gate prices were $9.95. And basically it would have a similar layout, except they would have access to pretty much every attraction in Magic Kingdom, except for the shooting gallery.
Oh, shooting gallery?
That's like a deal breaker right there. But the funny thing about this to me is, like, just reading that alone, you can kind of see the foundation for Not So Scary. Like, I mean, obviously they don't have musical entertainment like The Police at Not So Scary, but to me that kind of reads as like the stage shows that they set up, and then, you know, before that we see the trick or treating with the Buena Vista Shopping Center. So that's kind of interesting. But it wasn't until 1995 that Not So Scary would roll out and become the regular Halloween party. And that's actually for a couple different reasons. Surprisingly, one of those is Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, which debuted in 1983. And for one night, guests could experience Christmas magic in the Magic Kingdom. It was met with some success, but Disney was kind of cautious to roll it out as a full-time thing in the parks, partially because of the theming that we mentioned before, but also because they didn't know if having it as more than one night would be a success. And 6 years later, Magic Kingdom would open the Very Merry Christmas Party again as a 2-night offering instead of one. And then again in 1990 for 3 nights, which it's crazy to think about that as like a one-time thing. Like now that would sell out almost instantly.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In 1990, the Disney executives were attempting to roll out some seasonal events to draw in guests during some time where there would be downtime and make it more of like multiple visits per year kind of thing. And in a single 5-year span, we saw the first Flower and Garden, holidays around the world at World Showcase, Mardi Gras celebration at Pleasure Island, and this Very Merry Christmas Party pop up, which is absolutely crazy.
They kind of finally realized that this event was going to be viable, and then they just went all out with it.
Funny to me to like look at this and think of these things, like I said before, as like a one-time thing. If you showed up to this one day at Magic Kingdom and you got in for the Christmas party because you bought tickets, like now the Christmas party runs 2 months out of the year, the Halloween party runs 3, and Flower and Garden runs like most of the year.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, for the ones that are hard ticketed, they do a pretty good job of, you know, selling out a lot of the nights too.
Oh, yeah.
Can I also just say how much I wish I could go to a Mardi Gras celebration at Pleasure Island?
I don't even want to look into Pleasure Island anymore, because I know the more I look into it, the more I'm going to be like, man, I wish I was around for that.
Yes, same.
I would give anything to have an adventurers club now.
I know. We were born too late, you guys.
Absolutely. But since Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party had already proven it could lure guests to come out to the Magic Kingdom on cold December nights, the Walt Disney World officials wondered if a Halloween event could also convince guests to come out during a time that probably wouldn't have like the typical Florida weather. And it should also be noted that around the same time that they're wondering this, surprise, surprise, Universal opens their first Halloween party called Fright Nights in 1991, which would be renamed a year later to Halloween Horror Nights. And Disney kind of also wanted a little piece of what they were offering, as per usual. But just like Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, Not So Scary started small with a single night back in October 1995. And back then, even the ticket price for this after hours event was small at just $16.95 per person. So crazy prices. But due to the critical guest reception, Not So Scary was bumped up in 1997 to a 2-night event. And then in 1999, it was bumped up again to 3 nights. So slowly started climbing up to more and more days. But the funny thing about this is that Not So Scary ended up actually being a success, not because Disney was advertising it heavily, but because of a strong word of mouth. A lot of the actual parties were selling out pretty much instantly. In 2001, Disney held the Halloween parties in Magic Kingdom for 5 nights, and then in 2003, they'd bump it up to 10 nights. In 2005 it became 15, so kind of still a really like slow growth to where it is now.
It's weird. I would be very...
Just for the record, I looked it up and there's 36 nights this year.
So by comparison, 2005 is the last time that I could find a record of like how many days they were. 15 nights to 35, is that what you said? Or 30?
36.
36. That's like 21 extra nights. And
if you want to go November 1st, you can go then too. After Halloween.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, the same people who go August 16th, I guess. Like me.
I'm wondering when we reach the point where it's like they just decide like August through October, every night is going to be a Halloween party.
Oh, man. I don't think they could get away with that, though, because then they'd have to close Magic Kingdom early. And people are already, like, I don't know, salty enough about, I didn't know the park closed at 6 today. Nobody told me the park closed at 6.
Oh, man. Did you run into a lot of people when you went doing that? Because I think I've seen that every year that I've been.
I didn't see it specifically happening. Like, I don't know, nothing confirmable, but I saw a lot of disgruntled faces.
Do they not put the signs out front anymore that say they closed?
They do, but nobody looks at them.
We expect people to read.
Or they like...
I guess that's
right,
fair.
I think that they definitely put signs when you're like driving into park, like at the parking people booths or whatever.
Yeah, and then they announce it over
maybe...
the tram if you take the tram in, and then they announce it again on the monorail or right when you get off. There is no reason to not know that the party is happening.
And I think they also put a sign out in front of Magic Kingdom, if I'm not mistaken.
They do,
like at the entrance.
Yeah, well, I know they do that for like private events specifically because I remember, and I'm never gonna let this go. The last time that I was there to see the Osborne Lights, there was a private party in Hollywood Studios at 7:00, and I was just about to miss the last like Osborne Lights showing that they had because of that. So there was a sign out front that said park will close at 7 due to private event, and I have never been more angry at Disney in my life.
Oh, that's terrible.
I will never forget that, though.
It was probably also a different day and age, though, where there wasn't as much, I don't know, emphasis on planning your Disney trips like people do now.
That's true.
Oh, I feel like that's a little more forgivable for not knowing, especially because it's a private party. It's not like that's not like a big announcement that they're gonna do. So I can definitely see why you'd be mad.
Yeah, and it's not like, I don't know, it's not like I could have known. It's not like it was a hard-ticketed event that Disney was going to be like, hey, pay extra money for this. But this is where I kind of figured we can talk about some of the offerings. I have a little bit of history on each of these and some fun facts at the end that we can kind of go over with the like Halloween party statistics and stuff. But the first thing I wanted to mention, because this is the first thing that always comes up when I look into Halloween party stuff, are the fireworks. And if you listen to our episode on the history of nighttime entertainment, you'll know that prior to 2005, the fireworks show that they played during the Halloween party was actually the original fireworks show with a slight variation. It was the Fantasy in the Sky fireworks show with a special 3-minute tag at the end that featured the evil witch from Snow White. And they still run this one on New Year's, I believe, just without the special tag at the end.
I gotta say, it'd be kind of cool to have that on New Year's, so.
Yeah.
Not really on theme, but I would like it.
I like that they still run this show, and I've said this like the last time that we talked about it too. I think it's so cool that they're still playing the original fireworks show, but with like newer music.
Yeah, that's cool.
But then later this show was replaced with. Did you guys know that this had a really long name?
I did not know the full name. No.
Because I have to pause just to say this, because when I looked at this, I was like, that's not the name. But
it's like 10 words long.
Anyway, it was replaced with Happy Hallowishes, a grim grinning ghost spooktacular in the sky, which was loosely based on the Haunted Mansion.
I want to say this again after I said it last week. The people that are coming up with the names at Disney need to be replaced.
Brian, this was like 2005, though. This is
it's
how bad it's been for a long time.
There's probably, I just picture one guy sitting in a room and they come, they're like, hey, Dave, yeah, look, we need another name for this. There can't be.
He's got a book of puns that he just flips.
I guess I can't in my head picture like multiple people coming up with these ridiculous names.
It's got like a word generator or a sentence generator or something.
Oh, the best part of this though was like, I only ever remember anybody calling it either Happy Hallowishes or Hallowishes. Like, I don't think even the announcer before the show called it Happy Hallowishes, a grim grinning ghost spooktacular in the sky.
Right.
That feels like just as wrong as saying sponsored by Pandora at the end of everything else.
So is it just me, or does this, like, the Hallowishes I saw did not seem that heavily based on Haunted Mansion?
I never considered it
enough to call it a grim grinning ghost spooktacular.
I don't remember it being like based on the Haunted Mansion at all, aside from the fact that they played a little bit of music in there.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I feel like you could say everything at the party is based on the Haunted Mansion because of how much they rely on that for their, like, scare factor. You know?
Cop out.
I mean, are we complaining?
I mean, no.
Yeah, I feel like it's either that or Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know what else they're going to work off of. And Hocus Pocus, but...
They have a very large catalog of Halloween stuff. Don't let Disney fool you. There's Halloween Town. There's...
Yes, Halloween Town, please! That's like my favorite DCOM.
I realized the other day, I think we were talking about Halloween Town. I have that on DVD somewhere. I need to break that out. I know it's still a little too early for Halloween stuff, but I'm thinking it's time. I haven't seen Halloween Town in a while.
I wish Disney Plus was airing before Halloween so that I could watch it.
There's no bad time for a Halloween movie.
It's true.
But this year, they've debuted a new fireworks show, obviously with Wishes being replaced by Happily Ever After. The Disney's Not So Spooky Spectacular, which is more reliant on projection mapping. Is that a fair assumption, Beth?
It is, yeah.
How would you explain this show to people that have only seen the previous ones? Because I kind of have gone in blind with a lot of this stuff this year.
I would say literally imagine Happily Ever After, but Halloween themed. That's almost I think a pretty perfect explanation of it. I thought it was cute. I was kind of upset that there wasn't an original score, but I'm glad that they did something different because Hallowishes was starting to show its age for sure.
Yeah, that's...
I don't know. I expected something... I don't know why I expected an original score, but I did for some reason, and that going in with that assumption kind of made me disappointed. But other than that, it was a pretty cute little show. They're like, they go in, like Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, and Donald go into like a haunted house, and they have to like find their way out, and Zero from The Nightmare Before Christmas helps them. It's cute.
Is this the one that they have the Jack figure or puppet for, or is that...
On the stage, yeah.
Okay. That looks really cool. I saw when Disney.
That was awesome.
Is it like really big? Because I couldn't tell from that.
I was pretty far back and I could see it pretty well.
Oh, well, that's cool. I couldn't really tell from the video that Disney put out because it kind of seemed like it was big enough that you would be able to see it from the back, but still.
I didn't have my glasses on, so that should tell you something.
There you go. So the next offering that they have at the Halloween party, which should be everyone's favorite offering, is the Booty You parade. Best parade Disney has ever done.
Yes.
Fact, not an opinion.
Yes.
And I'm
absolute fact.
I'm not really a big parade person either. Like I have my specifics that I like. Like I love Main Street Electrical Parade. And I love Booty You. And I don't really care that much about the other ones, but yes, Booty You coming from a not really parade person is incredible.
So funny enough, Booty You is so perfect that it's actually one of the like pieces that hasn't really changed too much. Apparently the only changes that it's really seen were the addition of new characters this year and the parade, like some of the floats itself and the soundtrack were changed in 2005, which is still, I mean, that's early enough in the party's lifespan that I don't think that that's even really a question of it being good. Yeah, this is I always struggle to explain this parade because it's just that good.
Just start to finish. I mean, I feel like with the opening with the Headless Horseman running out, like it's going to be good from that point.
I have not caught the Headless Horseman.
Oh, really?
I still haven't seen him because the last time that we went, which would be 2016, I guess, was the last time we went for Not So Scary. We missed it because we just heard the announcement for the parade when we were grabbing a spot for it. Somehow still got a really good spot. He had just gone by, and I forgot to check my watch for the time. So,
and it is kind of interesting because they have him come out usually like at least 5 minutes before the actual parade starts. So, yeah, for anyone listening, if you're going, get a little bit early. It'll be worth it.
And from what I remember, he rode down, then they announced it. So, like, I feel like it was so easy for us to miss him that if you didn't know he was there, you wouldn't, like, think to look for it.
Yeah, I missed him. I think I've seen him only once, and I definitely missed him this year. And I was specifically like looking, but I was there like right at the beginning of the parade. I guess I was just a couple minutes too late.
I've been lucky because I've only been twice, but I've seen him both times I went.
Wow, way to rub it in. So this year they added more Haunted Mansion. With the new Spectral Bride, and they added 2 floats, the Buzz Lightyear float with the Alien Explorers and the Incredibles Edna Mode float. There's also a extra hard ticket event, the party within a party known as Cruella's Halloween Hideaway, which is basically the dessert party for the event. There's no getting around that. You get to hang out with Cruella de Vil and get special seating for Booty You. I think we talked about this before, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was a news item.
Yeah, I feel like we did, and we kind of determined that it's probably not super worth it.
We did say you get alcohol too, right? Not just desserts.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay.
You do.
Huh.
So if you can drink $99 worth, it's not a bad deal.
Okay, yeah, no, that's not a bad deal.
I know I can drink $99 worth. It just wasn't in our budget this year.
You mean $99 worth of Disney alcohol? Because that's a whole different
Correct.
thing.
Correct.
So, any final thoughts on Booty You before we move on from that? Because I feel like we could probably talk about this for a while.
Oh, it's great. Watch it. If you go to the Halloween party and you don't see it, then you didn't plan out very well.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, they usually have. Well, I think they always have 2 showings. But one little thing that I'll mention that I did not know until this last trip was that sometimes they'll do like an abbreviated version of the parade if they are not sure if the weather's going to cooperate. So I actually did not get to see the new floats because they didn't have them in because I saw the abbreviated version. But I did get to see the bride from Haunted Mansion, which was really cool. But just go into it if you're going on a night where you're not sure if the weather's going to be super awesome. Don't go into it expecting to see every single float you've heard of because you might not. But they'll do the good ones, the big ones mostly.
Yeah, and I think that the only other thing that stops the Headless Horseman from coming out is the rain as well. So
maybe that's why I didn't see him.
yeah,
I didn't even think about that.
I've heard that it makes the effect harder, so they don't really do it. Plus safety, you know.
I was gonna say they probably
Right.
don't want a horse running on the cobblestones when it's really wet.
With someone that typically
Yeah.
can't see very well. But I'm sure that probably plays into it too. Like if it's raining, just kind of anticipate to not see him go down. But let's move on to the stage show, which I think is also, like, at least the last couple years, the stage show has gotten significantly better, and it's definitely something that you shouldn't miss out on. But in 2005, the Villains Mix and Mingle stage show debuted during the Halloween party. Originally, the concept of the stage show is that Maleficent would summon Disney villains to celebrate Halloween for this spectacular stage show. And in 2010, Frollo was replaced with Dr. Facilier, who in 2011 would actually become the main focus of the show, which is such a weird turnaround.
I can't believe they thought Frollo would be a good one to host it.
Well, he was in the show, and Maleficent would summon him, and then what they did was they swapped Frollo out for Dr. Facilier, who then ended up taking Maleficent's role because he became so popular.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
But what's super weird about that is Maleficent would actually continue to speak to the audience in the 2011 show where Dr. Facilier was the lead character. And in another weird twist of events, they ended up bringing Frollo back in the cast of villains that would come out and replacing Jafar with him. And they also added a new soundtrack to this version to compensate for Dr. Facilier taking over. In the original show, Maleficent and Captain Hook had singing parts. They were also cut for this show. And then prior to 2014, the villains would only meet after the show. And then they would come off of the stage and you'd be able to meet them then. But in 2014, they cut that, and the villains made more of an appearance throughout the park for standard meet and greets, which kind of seemed like a staple for these events. I find that very hard to believe that they weren't before.
I actually went in 2012 and got to do the meet and greet like in front of the castle, and it was super cool. And I wish that I understand why they can't, but I wish that they could.
Yeah, 2012.
It's just really cool to like see the show, and then immediately afterwards you got to like talk to them and take pictures.
2012 meet and greets were like a way different place than they are now.
Yeah, for sure.
But then 2015, the stage show would see the best revamp, and it would bring on the Sanderson sisters from the Disney classic Hocus Pocus. And the premise of this show surprisingly wouldn't change too much, except it was the Sanderson sisters that were trying to have a giant Halloween party and bring out the Disney villains and all that stuff. But for all of that said, this is widely considered to be one of the best, if not the best, stage show that Disney has put on.
Agree.
In front of the castle, it's definitely the best stage show.
Oh, yeah.
Still not going to pick it over Fantasmic, but it's really, really close.
Better than Beauty and the Beast live on stage?
Absolutely.
Oh, Brian, how can you even talk bad about Beauty and the Beast live on stage?
Those practical effects, though, they're so ahead of their time.
Something when they start shaking that blanket just brings a tear to my eye.
Oh, yes.
It always kills me to think about that. I know this is so far off of Halloween Party, but like every time I think about that, I'm reminded that was supposed to be a temporary attraction.
But it
Here we are
shows.
20 years later.
Yeah, it does show.
Oh,
Oh, so are you guys ready for some Halloween party fun facts that I found while digging this up?
absolutely.
So there are over 176 individually themed and carved pumpkins on the balconies and windowsills just on Main Street, USA. That is a lot of pumpkins.
Oh,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's also 14 different treat locations in the park where Disney gives out 40 different kinds of candy. And last year, Disney gave out over 250 tons of candy throughout the course of the party.
that is incredible. But I believe it for sure.
I was going to say approximately 1/4 of that was in my candy bag. So I definitely believe it.
That is one of my favorite things about the party is like at the time, like once you get to do, the stage show, the fireworks and the parade, and then you've gone on all the rides you want to, like if you have any other time left, like we're always like, all right, Operation get as much candy as possible now. And we always have so much.
Oh my God, I'm still eating it.
You can get so much candy too. And like the best part is most of the time, if it's at the end of the night, they're not stopping you from like taking so much candy. If you really want
Oh
to.
yeah, and if you hit one of those treat stations where the line's really short, you just go through a couple of times. Man, I was driving last insane. I was like, let's go through again.
By like the third time, you just gotta be like, just give me a bigger handful. All right, you know what I'm doing.
I'll leave you alone after that.
Do you guys have a favorite treat location for Not So Scary?
I feel like they changed up a lot of them this year.
Well,
Did they?
I think from the 2 years that I went, I remember them definitely having different treat spots.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the Tiki Room usually is one, and I like that. I mean, just because.
Moana meet and greet now.
Is it really? That's so sad.
Yep. And people were lined up at we got to the park at 4:15, and people were lined up 30 minutes later, waiting for the Moana meet and greet that didn't start till 7. I was like, what are you guys doing?
I mean, it's Moana. She doesn't meet any other time.
Yeah. But I mean, that's 3 hours. No thanks. 2.5
Jack and Sally.
hours.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I feel like that's even more of a, this is a really special one, because I think the only other time they meet is the Christmas party, right? And it's a different costume.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's crazy that Disney hasn't done anything with Moana, because she still only meets during the parties. That's the only time that she meets outside of if you were to go to Aulani.
Hey, maybe with the Journey of Water coming.
Probably. That's my thing that I'm thinking, is they specifically put that there so they could have a Moana meet and greet somewhere close by.
As far as a favorite treat location, I don't know. The one that comes to mind is that Tortuga Tavern area.
The only thing that they use that for.
Well, yeah, maybe that's why I like it, because they're actually using it for something.
I'm looking at a list. Apparently, Country Bears is a treat location.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in that, because it wasn't the first year that I went, which means that I could still go see Country Bears, but I couldn't last year.
Aww. Dang.
Now,
also this year, they're doing a special thing at Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, where they have mini shows. I think
I heard about
we
that.
just walked through and got the candy because the show had just ended and we didn't want to sit around and wait. But people were sitting down, and they had the cameras going and focusing on people and doing the captions and stuff. And I think that they actually had the actors come out and do little shows in between.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is really neat. And the last fun fact that I have the first park outside of the U.S. to receive a Halloween party would be Disneyland Paris in 2008, which is
Nice.
yeah. So, is there anything you want to talk about this year's party, Beth? Anything you want to give us in terms of like tips and stuff that you want to give our listeners?
I mean, I feel like it was kind of same party for me as I've been in the past. So if you've been before, then you already know what to do. I will say that I think I got unlucky going on the very first night because I think it was way busier than normal, which I've heard that the first night usually is. So up until like, I don't know, week before Halloween, everybody should probably be pretty good with crowds.
Nice.
Eat a bunch of candy, catch the stage show and fireworks because that's new, and oh my gosh, and Space Mountain with the lights off is terrifying. You don't think that it's going to be that big of a difference because Space Mountain's so dark already, but I would literally was like the whole time, and I love roller coasters. I don't like Space Mountain. I know I've said that before, just because it's so rough, it like hurts. But I was like legitimately terrified. Like my picture is hilarious. I was like, this is terrifying. But I would recommend it. It's a really cool experience for sure to do it with the lights off.
It's very novelty
That sounded
thing.
dirty. A question though. What is your guys' favorite candy or treat that they give out?
Lifesaver gummies.
Oh yeah, that's a good
those are
one.
so good.
I feel like I don't do as much trick-or-treating and Not So Scary as I should, but every time I've gone, I've gotten like the standard candy. The only thing I remember that was different was I got root beer barrels one time.
Ooh, I haven't had those in so long.
Yeah, they were really good. The only thing was it was the same year that we got the poison apple mugs, and we made the mistake of throwing some of our candy in there just to like get rid of it so we had space in the bag. And everything that came out of that tasted like root beer barrels. So it wasn't great, but yeah.
Funny. Have you guys ever seen Reese's? I feel like that's not a thing.
I
At the
don't
park?
think I've ever seen them at the park.
Like Reese's is really missing out on a opportunity here.
Well, they only do oh my gosh, there's this
Mars?
Yeah, are Reese's Mars?
I don't think so. I'm gonna look it up. Hershey.
That explains it.
There it is. Man, that's the one thing that I feel like they're really missing. The one really good candy they're missing.
So I'm looking at the list of candies that fall under the Mars brand, and apparently Mars is the same people that own Wrigley's gum. So that's an interesting fun fact. They could be handing out gum, but they won't because it's Disney.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like half of these that are listed on here are some form of gum, and then combos. Combos are listed on here.
Oh, I would love for them to give out combos. That'd be so good. Those like little mini bags.
I'm surprised they don't. That is actually like genuinely surprising they don't do that.
All right, to guest services. Add combos to Not So Scary.
Yeah, that would be an interesting choice. So that's all I have for Not So Scary. Is there anything you guys want to throw in or talk about before we wrap up with some of these closing remarks?
All I gotta say is that they did a good job pairing up with Go-Go Squeeze because I actually buy that from the grocery store after receiving them in my bag at Not So Scary last year.
Did you really?
Yes, it was hilarious though because it was Laz's first Halloween party, and that was just happened to be the first treat station that we went through, and so they put like 2 things of Go-Go Squeeze applesauce in each of our bags. And when we got to the end, he like looked at his bag and he's like, "What is this? Are we not getting any candy?"
Oh, man.
I was like, "No, this is just one treat station. I promise you, there will be candy."
That's funny.
But yeah, no, that stuff is so good.
Yeah. They did do a good job with partnering with them. That was definitely a good call on their part. So I guess we should wrap this up with the last couple things we have in here. First thing I guess we should mention is that we've revamped our website. So lots of stuff on there now. I know I just posted the other day that video that you and Brian made and put on our YouTube page. I put that on our website, so that's up there if people want to check out the video. Also credit to Laz for editing this. His YouTube you linked in here, right, Beth?
Did.
Sweet. So people can check him out if they like the video. That was a lot of fun watching that. I lived vicariously through you guys that weekend. But also on there, we have just set up our new Discord server where you can come hang out and talk to us and some other listeners. I would give the invite link here, but it is very long. Instead, you can go to our website, and up top there's a tab for social media. Just click on Discord. That'll take you right to our Discord server, where you can hang out with us and talk about Disney when you're not listening to us talk about Disney. And then last thing that we have on here that we definitely want to make sure that we talk about, we want to give some of our Florida friends and anybody that's going to be affected by Hurricane Dorian this weekend some well wishes and safe travels to anyone that's headed through that path. Stay safe, be safe, and we will definitely be thinking about you guys and your travels.
You're here.
And you too, Brian.
Yeah, you too, Brian. Then that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you want to be a part of the show, reach out to us on our website at www.station71podcast.com, where you can find links to all of our social media, our email address, and our brand new Google Voice line where you can leave us a voice message. Have anything you want to hear us talk about, we'd be happy to discuss that on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed your ride, and we'll see you real soon.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.